They'll start Christmas shopping. Don't even worry about it. Oh, yeah. Last minute Christmas ideas. Here they are. I'm sure it'll work out just fine. Go ahead and snag you some merch. Merry Chrysler, everybody. Happy Honda days. Ooh. A little vest. I like it. Buy the merch.
Welcome in to a Christmas Eve edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from the UDL, right on time on this Christmas Eve. Lloyd got to the studio, gave me a call, and I was still asleep.
Still asleep. The old alarm trick you'll never learn, but I don't care.
Dude, I could not sleep at all last night. I'm on one of those where I probably slept cumulatively over the last 10 hours. I probably slept an hour and a half. And
Tossing
I just
and turn?
could not. I don't know what it was, man. Just could not fall asleep. I don't know. Maybe so. A lot on the brain. A lot on the brain.
Yeah. Usually we can alleviate those.
Yes.
That's what happened to me last night. Whoa. Whoa.
Hit the wall?
Hit the wall. The gold standard got me. The relief bed got me, and it all came to a head. And I was like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm waiting on that wall to hit me and slap me upside the head.
Well,
but,
you're out of time.
Yeah.
Because now you got holiday stuff.
I know, I do feel like I'm behind it. All right, welcome in. Merry Christmas here on this Christmas Eve edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. A little bit to get to. We'll spend a little bit of time with you here as you knock out your last-minute Christmas shopping. Christmas Eve plans. What are they? Jump inside the bunker if you've got any Christmas Eve plans. Let me know about them. Last night, NFL action. Tennessee beat San Francisco 20-17. In the SEC, some college football scores last night. How about Central Florida and Gus Malzahn? That had to be a sweet win for the Gus Bus. 29-17 in the Gasparilla Gator Bowl, as 29-17 was the final score there. Florida, in true typical fashion, pissed off at the end and tried to fight, but they were whipped on the field. 29-17. Emory Jones in his final game with the Florida Gators before he hits the transfer portal. Threw it for 171 yards. Also 62 yards on the ground, but Central Florida outgained the Gators 436 to 376. Gus Malzahn was showing off last night offensively, as it was not Billy Napier on the sideline. This
was Billy Napier on the sideline. She's not coaching.
Right, but this is what LSU will look like come January 4th if they have enough players to kick this thing off. You will see Brad Davis, the interim coach, like Greg Knox, who was taken over and took over for Dan Mullen when Mullen stepped away and was fired. He was the interim last night. Napier was there on the sideline, just kind of monitoring and watching. That I kind of got the feel of that's what LSU will feel like on January 4th when they play in Kansas State. Just a lot of mismatch of
just a little bit of disarray.
Yeah,
and I mean they had the interim coach begging Emory Jones to run, and Emory Jones is like, I'm not getting out here and running, dude. I'm about to leave the team. But every interview he had, like whether it be at halftime or after the game, he's like, that's kind of what Emory Jones to tuck it and run, and he did it a couple of times, and that's when Florida looked their best. But what does Emory Jones have to gain from that, from playing in the game? Is Anthony Richardson on, like, they didn't want to burn a red shirt? Has he played more than 4 games?
I don't know enough to say to that, but
that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. I mean, Emory Jones is the first that I've heard of that is going into the portal that is playing.
Still playing.
I mean, like, so his name has not been put into the portal.
Yeah, he
yet,
put it in today.
So he's going to put it in last night. I was wondering, like, I wonder if they paid him to do this. Like, I wonder if they, like, signed him to an NIL deal. Like, I mean, because Emory Jones could have been like, nah, I'm out. I'm good.
That's what you would expect to happen, right? You would expect, like, why would I go play for you, right? It's like if Miles Byrne came in and played on the other end of the spectrum. Yeah. If he joined the team and was like, oh, I can play. Like, you would think that would be a little bizarre. But for Emory Jones to go out there and play was a little bizarre, too.
Anthony Richardson played in 5 games this season.
So he burned it.
Yeah, he doesn't have his red shirt. But they said, but his status is he's out, so I'm guessing that he's injured.
Well, he heard himself dancing in the hotel.
Yeah.
Or something's going on. Yeah, it should be something off the field.
Billy, this is what you step into now. Everybody's watching.
Man, and look, I hate to start the show on a sad story, but speaking of quarterbacks at Florida, did you see the high school quarterback in Georgia, the 7A quarterback, player of the year in the state of Georgia? They do say now, as far as like districts and classifications go, that the highest Georgia classification, Georgia 7A, is one of the toughest districts in the entire high school football setup, like in the country. And Robbie Roper was a quarterback from Georgia Roswell High School. He led them to a state quarterfinal finish. He died on Wednesday after a routine surgery in Napier and Florida were really like starting to kick up some interest on him and really starting to go after him. If you follow his Twitter on social media, you can see some of that steam start to roll in Roper's direction. But just a tragic freak story that Robbie Roper has passed away. And look, I didn't know Roper in recruiting. I had never heard his name. I know that he was a quarterback that kind of late in the game was starting to pick up some interest. Late in the season was really starting to pick up some interest. And as we said, he was the 7A high school quarterback for Roswell High School and was named the 7A Player of the Year in Georgia, which is a huge accomplishment. Tragically passes away on Wednesday after what they called routine surgery. I don't know a lot about the story, but just kind of following it on social media. I know that the Florida Gator football program put out a tweet earlier this week giving their thoughts and prayers and talking about how difficult of a situation it was for Roper and the family and everybody at the high school. But it is just one of a sad, tragic story around the holidays that is a combination of recruiting and college football, and one that I know Billy Napier in Florida were not necessarily at the center of, but they were kind of the school that was pushing to see if Roper could play on that level. So as you start your holiday last-minute push here with Christmas Eve and Christmas tomorrow on the horizon, small prayer and thought if you have the time for the Roper family, because it is I couldn't imagine, man. I mean, guy won the quarterfinals in dramatic fashion on Friday night and has what they call routine surgery following the season, and he passes away afterwards. So sad story, and sorry to start that way with a somber note here on this Christmas Eve, but just something that I had saw and wanted to bring to light for the listeners, and just say how bad that story was kind of circulating out there. Also, last night in the NFL, we found out that Ian Book is going to make his first start as the New Orleans Saints quarterback.
Or
Book it.
Alvin Kamara, second string back there.
I mean, look, what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do at this point? The NFL is probably in a worse situation than this than the college players. I mean, on a college roster, you've usually got 85 guys, right? LSU doesn't. But on a typical football roster, you got 85 guys, and I would say that you've probably got 10 of them that were high school quarterbacks. When you say on average of a 85-room scholarship locker room, and you got guys that are playing defensive back, wide receiver, running back.
The John Trey Kirklands of the world.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, Joseph Adai was a high school quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. I mean, he was
awful.
3 years starting quarterback for his high school team. And, you know, if you ever got into a bind, you could just say, Joe, you know, I mean, we're running Wildcat all day, buddy. I mean, if you got to throw it sometimes, you have to throw it. Kamara would probably be on an NFL roster. You probably don't have as many. I mean, it's probably you've got specialty wide receivers. You got specialty defensive backs. You've got running backs that were. But, I mean, Kamara in the NFL would be.
I mean, what can he do at this point?
Exactly.
Like, I'm sure he could kick
screw
extra
it,
points.
put it back there.
Put it back there. I'm sure he could sling that thing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But Ian Book is the last man standing, really, in the quarterback room. Taysom Hill and Trevor Siemian both placed on reserve COVID-19 list on Thursday. In addition to Hill and Siemian, Malcolm Jenkins is there. Special team safety Jeff Heath is there. They've got a defensive lineman that's there. Whose game status is in jeopardy. Also, Jawan Johnson and Adam Troutman went on the list on Wednesday. So the facility right now seems like it is tainted with COVID-19 as Sean Payton was on the list last week.
Yeah, Sean Payton's still not back, and it got to the point where Dennis Allen has decided they did virtual practice. They're like, we don't need anybody around the building. Like, this is out of hand. Let's everybody, zoom in from home. I guess that's the best way to handle it, and Dennis Allen once again proving that he will probably be a head coach next season. Well, the way he's handling this,
for sure. I think his last time on the field really probably pushed a lot of people over the edge of seeing how well the Saints competed against Tom Brady again, and most notably on the defensive side. Because if anything that has been a constant for the Saints when Brady has been a buck is that the defense has confused him. I mean, like they have confused Brady. Like, sincerely, where Brady is almost, he's the cheat code. There's usually not a defense out there that he hasn't seen or you haven't thrown at him. And for whatever reason, over the last 2 years, the Saints have they've handcuffed him. I mean, they've put him in a pretzel at times where he does look like he does not know what he's looking at.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be football people out there that are like, look at this. This is fascinating. TB12 don't know what he's doing. He don't know what he's looking at.
It's not in the book, dude. It's not in the recipe book.
He's out here looking like a hurt horse trying to move sometimes. I mean, like, that's one of the things that Brady has been like, to me, he's almost beat Father Time, is that he still at times looks like he can move out there. I mean, even at 40 when the ball's rolling down the driveway and me and little Jay are running after it, I'm like, ugh.
I'm not getting that one.
Damn, dude. I mean, 3 years ago, I could have got there. I can't get there anymore. I mean, on an NFL football field, I can't imagine how fast the window closes on a 44-year-old.
Well, now he's running more than ever. Now he's taking off. He feels more confident in his ability to play wide open than he ever has, which makes you wonder what he's doing. But it seems like the Saints are the one teams that not only make him uncomfortable, visibly frustrate him to the point where he's
running up to the
he's telling assistant coaches
after
to
he throws a pick.
to go F themselves and spiking tablets. So the Saints have his number, and the only time that they didn't was in the Dome in a playoff game.
Wow. Ken Folk 76 put a super chat in and said that Rome had an allergic reaction to the anesthesia. Wow.
Brutal.
That is brutal.
I wonder how you test for that. I wonder how you would know until it happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, right.
because that's the one, like, you have to have anesthesia until you don't ever use it until you need it.
Wow.
So that means he's never been put down for surgery before, obviously.
Michael Crean says it best. Hug your loved ones tight. Rob Boudreaux, Merry Christmas. Rob Boudreaux, Kevin Falk was a quarterback in high school, too. He was. Jimmy Pardon. My wife and I are going to Natchez this morning. Stop in at Go-Mart, Jimmy, and make sure and say hello to Tom Granning and the crew. As they're going to Natchez this morning to be with the eldest son and his family, and then traveling 7 hours to Madison, Alabama to Christmas with our younger son and his family. Beautiful, Jimmy. Stay safe on the road. A lot of people on the road today. I'd imagine that this is one of the biggest traveling days of the year, both on air commerce and on the road. So if you're out on the road or if you're flying today, everybody be safe, buckle up, throw on a podcast, go back and listen to a past podcast of the Jordy Culotta Show. If you're here starting your day with us, make sure to hit that like button, share button, comment button, and Merry Christmas to you and yours. We appreciate you being here. LSU basketball. Anybody see the latest gold standard? Jesus, bro. I had to close the door and lock it.
Injected in my veins. Yeah, nobody come in here.
Kelly was like, what's going on in there?
Where's the jerky?
Give me 5 more minutes, for God's sakes. I mean, the opening and the teaser for the latest gold standard, if you have not seen it, if you have not seen the lead up to the last gold standard where Wade is giving the pregame speech to his squad before the Louisiana Tech game, good God Almighty. I mean, good
God.
Lord. My man is locked in. He is just fueling this team with some hype and some motivation before tip-off that is just, I mean, it'll give you goosebumps. It'll give you chills. I mean, if you're into it, you like LSU, you're into LSU basketball, Will Wade is one of your people, watch the latest gold standard. All you got to do to go to lsusports.net, click on the basketball link. It'll drive you right there to it. You can go to LSU Basketball's YouTube channel. You can go to LSU Basketball on Sportsnet and find it there. Hit them on social media. It is easy to find it. If you want to find the latest gold standard from LSU basketball, you can get to it. And once you get to it, you will see one of your – it's one of my favorite clips of Wade ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And he's got some stuff that will – you know, sometimes you're like, oh, wow, that was kind of cringy. But sometimes he's got some stuff where you're like, damn, this guy's a fucking warrior, man.
A wall.
And this one is the best of it. I mean, this is the best of it. I mean, I'm not even going to try to imitate it, and I'm not even going to try to give you any of the lines because you have to see him deliver it to really get the reaction. You know what I mean? Like, he gives a claim of Louisiana Tech thinking that this is a rivalry and kind of poking fun at the boot up stuff. And it's amazing. I mean, for as good as that locker room was after the game, and we saw the scene after the game when Coach Nickelberry announces how many times they turned over Louisiana Tech, and they start jumping up and down, and then Wade jumps in there and tells them all to quiet down and boot the fuck up. I mean, and they go nuts and spraying water and stuff. I mean, that is a fine scene. This is about the same scene, but just about an hour and a half earlier of them getting hyped up for that moment. And it is a coach in firm control of his team who knows how to hit every button to get them going, whether it's in the preseason in Bossier City versus Louisiana Tech, or it gives you an idea of how intense that locker room is going to be Wednesday night at about 4:50 Central Time before they tip off against Auburn at 5 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. On ESPNU? Wow, did they win the lottery? I mean, how in the hell did they get that call?
I don't know, but I love the standalone.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you were saying yesterday, it's either Super Tuesday, which is then you're kind of in the shuffle, but this is a jackpot for ESPN, like ESPNU, but also for the nation a little bit. Like, you're going to be a standalone primetime game, LSU Auburn, and you will see probably what could be at least an SEC tournament matchup for sure.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Could see each other again in the tournament.
It's the best two teams in the league going at it in game one. Going at it in game one. To me, right now, Auburn and LSU are the best two teams in the conference coming out of the non-conference schedule. right? And you have Auburn and LSU in the opening game of SEC play. I mean, that is from, I mean, if you're thinking of that from the SEC office, I mean, they got a bottle of Jergens as well. You know what I mean? Like, this couldn't have worked out any better for them to go through 12 games and have these two teams sitting at 11-1 and 12-0, and the undefeated team is lower ranked than Auburn is, than the 11-1 squad. I mean, this has everything. This is everything. This feels like a tournament team, like a tournament game.
Matchup. That's yes, absolutely.
In December. I mean, like, you still got 4 months of the season, 3 months of the season left.
Because I see this thing going to the wire.
Yes,
4 points might
absolutely.
be a little bit of a little extra. If you could give it to it, I'd take it.
And you know, look, like we've said, I mean, you're not going to put all the stock of everything that you have into game one of the SEC play, but this is going to be a hell of a governor, a hell of a measuring stick for you to see where this squad is going into the year. And how good is this defense? How good are some of these individual players, Tari Eason, Efton Reed, that Brandon Murray, that you're curious about on this level, right? Like, I mean, like Wade said here yesterday, I mean, Quincy, that Xavier Pinson and Darius Days are the only two that's ever seen anything like what they're about to step into on this team, right? I mean, they've got some young guys that played some basketball last year, but as Wade pointed out, they were all playing in front of cardboard cutouts on the road. And now you're walking into an environment which Wade has said it, and I know Wade has said it publicly, and I also know that he said it privately, that if they ever redo the Maravich Center, if they ever rebuild the Maravich Center, where they knock it down and rebuild it, where there is, you know, there's a couple of options of what the refurbish and what the reconstruction could look like on the Maravich Center. And a lot of it is just kind of updating the current arena, but there is an option out there that you knock the thing down and you just rebuild a basketball arena. And if they do that, Wade has been pretty steadfast in follow the Auburn blueprint. Do exactly what Auburn has done to their basketball program and basketball facility for LSU, and you will have a winner. They've taken seats out. They've slimmed down the capacity. They've modernized the gymnasium. If you've walked in there, it is 2021 ready. Big screen television, sound system's fantastic. You've got Wi-Fi everywhere. You've got stats going everywhere. It's very new age, fan friendly, right? And like we said, with slimming down the seats, they're all on top of you. The whole place is raining down on you. And if you're a road team, whether it's 10,000, 14,000, or 25,000 like they'll play in front of Rupp Arena later this year, when they're right on top of you, when they're breathing down your neck, it doesn't matter how loud it is. That's the stuff that makes you want to coil up. That's the stuff that makes you want to...
you.
Right, yeah, I mean, for the claustrophobic. But in basketball, you know what I mean? That's the stuff that'll make you...
It feels so much more
tight.
intense. It's
Yes.
so intense because that's the Duke model, right? That's what Cameron Indoor is. It's small, it's intimate, but those fans are right on top of you the entire game. They can almost touch you. You've seen it. I mean, there's the famous Steph Curry picture at Davidson where they're an inch away from him when he's trying to inbound a pass.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're looking for in college basketball. And LSU's arena is kind of at the other end of the spectrum. You know, it's shifted to not as many seats to, all right, let's see how many people we can pack in here and make it feel like Rucker Park.
Yeah, and you're still making money because you've got premium seating in there. You know what I mean? Like the model has been, football has shown you that the way to make money on ticket sales is to build suites, is to build premium seating. And that's the real big margin in that industry. You know, not peddling individual tickets and trying to sell season tickets. Sure, that is that's part of the business model that you have to take care of, but one that you can kind of cheat with is build suites, sell premium seating, where you've got, you know, 25 seats, 15 seats in one boxed in section that you're charging a couple of $100,000 a year for.
Do they have that at LSU? Do they have like boxes you could watch in for the basketball games?
No. No, but that's the new age.
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
Yeah, you got to get
You know
that.
what I mean? The suites and the.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Alex Box.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know if they had it or not, but it would make sense. I know they have like the club that you can go into.
Yeah.
So those are the people you're kind of kowtowing towards to be able to get them in the suites.
Matt M. Any word on contract extension for Will Wade? Nothing officially. We've asked some people in and around LSU. I expect that to be happening here pretty soon. I really do. I think that I know that I've been saying that, but I think that after the first of the year, within the season, I don't know if it's going to be headline news. It will be once it happens, but I think they're trying to keep it out of the headline news. And I think you're just kind of waiting to see still what happens. With any type of SEC ruling that may come down. Nobody knows the timeline in which the NCAA is working on.
Well, James Cregg certainly didn't help.
Carl Dunn says the gold standard should win some type of social media award. Pure fire it is. Michael J. Kleber says, ask Jordy, how insane will the Maravich Center be when Kentucky is here if they beat Auburn? I want to hear a fan perspective. I still believe if you don't beat Auburn, that the SEC home opener for LSU basketball is going to be electric. I really do. Now, if they beat Auburn, it'll be one of the best environments that you can remember here in the short term because there's just a lot going on that night, right? Dale Brown will have the court recognized and putting his name on that night. And then you're talking about or really the blue blood of the SEC in Kentucky, who is always going to attract a crowd. It's always going to attract some type of energy and intensity for the road team, and the way that LSU is playing this season. When the schedule was published, what was the first game you looked for? What was the first game where you had to see where it was? I know for me it was, when do they play Kentucky? And when I saw that they played Kentucky in the home opener, I thought to myself, they've really got an opportunity to go into that game with a lot of momentum because they're going to be good in the non-conference. They're going to come out in the non-conference with some momentum. I was thinking. I didn't know that they would come out undefeated. And at the time, I had no idea how good Jabari Smith Jr. was going to be for Auburn. I had no idea that Auburn was going to be as good as I didn't know Walker Kessler was that good. And then after watching Auburn play, now you kind of switch your focus and say, wow, that really the SEC opener versus Auburn is the one that's really standing out. But, for everybody went and found the Kentucky game. Where was it? When was it? I need tickets for that game. And this is the one that's going to pull everybody in. So I think that they're going to try and blow the roof off of that place when Kentucky's in town, whether or not they beat Auburn. But, obviously if they do and they roll into that game 13-0, 1-0 in the SEC against a top 15 Auburn team, at that point, the national media is going to have to be talking about LSU, and that game will be as intense and as great of an environment as I think we've seen in the Wade era.
And imagine you get the A-team, too, right? Would you imagine that they put it on television like ESPN
you would
TV?
Think so.
Like that would switch it. If I don't know if the Auburn game matters, but certainly if LSU wins, if you have an undefeated LSU versus a ranked Kentucky team coming into Baton Rouge, the hype around it gets so real that it has to be okay, we've ignored LSU, but I don't think ESPN is really in that moniker of the rating system and the Will Wade stuff. I don't think they care about that. They just know it's a good basketball team against another good basketball team, and they know that, it's the LSU model, right? If anything's good, we'll flock to it. If you're an LSU fan,
sure,
you'll go in there and pack the PMAC, and they've proven to be a preeminent force in this season. Like, they're going to be a good basketball team with sights on making waves in the tournament, in my mind.
Tommy Howard says, I looked for the Bama game. I hate Nate Oates. That is true. I think that Nate Oates in Alabama probably got a lot of interest from people with the way that rivalry started to bud last season, not only between LSU and Alabama on the wood, but really between Oates and Wade, right? When you see those two guys kind of shake hands at midcourt and Nate Oates tell Will Wade to get the fuck out of here on midcourt after the SEC tournament champion. I love that stuff. So does Wade. You know what I mean? You know that guy that's putting out the videos of the gold standard, Garrison, the video guy for LSU basketball, took him from Alabama. That was Alabama's hype video guy.
Wow. What a pull.
Yeah, it's petty.
I could recruit anybody.
It's getting petty.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's getting very petty to to the point of that type of stuff.
Is Nate Oates number one on the Will Wade hit list? Because it was UL's head coach for the longest time.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have recognized Bob Marlin. I mean, Bob Marlin would have felt very minor league for him.
Right, but that's what I feel like. That's what set off the Will Wade kind of fuck everybody in this arena. Like, I'll go after every coach because that's who he is. You could see him on the sidelines. He viscerally reacts to the crowd, and for having another coach do that to him in his own gym set, and he's never really flipped from that.
Well, I would say that maybe the lowest point for Wade, or one of the lowest moments for Wade as the LSU head basketball coach, was last year versus Alabama at home when they turned into the Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
You remember that night that Petty and them came in here and they could not miss a 3-pointer?
Yeah.
I think like by the first TV timeout they were up like 18. It was one of the greatest shooting performances I have ever seen in that building from a team, or that I can remember. And I know that game haunted him. Like, that was a very low for a coach. Sometimes, for a player, you go out there and the ball bounces off your foot, you dribble it off your foot, you miss an open floor layup, you miss a couple of jump shots, your guy has a big night. That's an embarrassing moment for a player. You know what I mean? Nobody likes to go back and watch that film. Nobody likes to go back and think about that type of game. For a coach, when your team underperforms so much like that, and Wade puts such an emphasis on preparation, right? Like, they're scouting these guys. They know if they get looks like Alabama had that night, that they've got potential to turn into Golden State. I know that was a low moment for Wade. I mean, like, you rarely see him can get to him where he'll show you the cuts. Like, I mean, if you know him well enough, you know he's cut. But he will never show you the cut. That Alabama game still is a cut that he will openly. He didn't even talk about that SEC title championship game. They should have won that game.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Watford game.
They should have won that game. I mean, you had a great look at the end to win that game, and if you got that look 10 more times, you probably hit 8 out of 10, and you win it. And he knows that. And Nate Oates telling him to get the fuck out of here. And he loves that internally. You know what I mean? Because if he beats Nate Oates this year, he's going to tell him to get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I think you love those two personalities. And they still have phone conversations in the offseason. They still...
Video guy's doing great, thank you.
They still trade text messages, which I think is pretty cool. You would think that they wouldn't. You would think that they have this visceral hate for one another. Where they probably do, you know what I mean?
Oh,
internally,
sure, the texts
but it's
are probably
still
very jaded.
Yeah, but it's still a working relationship that exists, right? Like I think that they know to build up the momentum of each program that they need one another. They almost need to be the heel for each other's program, that they can kind of, fuck Nate, or fuck Will Wade, you know what I mean? Like
right.
that's kind of their. Who they are behind closed doors with their team. So I think it plays, and it's a good point that let me make sure that we give the.
Well, I would just say it goes to
right.
show.
Was it Tommy Howard who said that he looked for the Bama game? And I agree. It's slowly but surely kind of becoming that. But I think Kentucky's always going to pull you, not because of Cal, not because of anybody that's on their team currently, just because of who they are, the name brand, right? The colors, Big Blue. I think that you're going to look for Kentucky every year just because they've always been kind of considered the alpha of the basketball conference in the SEC. But I'm with you, Tommy. I do believe that narrative, that discussion is really – Tennessee deserves a lot of respect in SEC basketball. Alabama deserves a lot of respect in SEC basketball. Auburn's here. And LSU's got a seat at the table. I think that people outside of the market – are saying, look, I hate Will Wade, but we can't disrespect LSU basketball. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say just because you don't like the coach, you can't overlook them because they'll come in here and beat our ass.
Whip your ass.
Yeah, right.
And if you watched, I took this away from the Gold Standard last night. Whenever he has the individual player interviews, you have Brandon Murray, who is Omar from The Wire. Like, he's got the jacket on, he's sitting in it. Like, he is Baltimore to the core. And he's like, I was born a dog. I didn't have a choice.
Right.
And they cut to Efton Reed, who's talking about analytics and, what he wants to have his major in. But Will Wade's able to put all of those guys in the same pot, mix it together and play chemist, and it comes out to where this team is probably one of the most cohesive units that I've seen this early in a season. It's unreal. They love each other.
Well, it's a lot what we talked about in the preseason, what they were doing. A lot of those softball games, a lot of those paintball outings, a lot of those cooking together, all those types of situations, all those team building Tuesdays, team bonding Tuesdays really was not for social media. You know what I mean? Like, I know that they were cutting up and putting stuff out on all over social media, but that was real. That was intent of, look, man, when you're looking at the 37th minute on the road versus Auburn and you look at the guy next to you, I got your back. I'm with you. You know what I mean? Like, just think back where we were in October when we were in a paintball field and we were figuring that stuff out. You know what I mean? But there's a lot that goes there's a reason why other programs started to do it. Right? Like, I mean, remember, like, LSU football started putting out, like, some of the team bonding and stuff that they're like, we get it, guy. Like, it's starting to take over where people are recognizing and saying, hey, maybe we need to be doing that.
It feels like Will Wade was at the forefront of those things. Not I don't want to say making it public, but letting it be known, like, especially with the way that you can build teams now through the portal and with, I guess, NIL deals if you want to do that. But this was specifically portal-driven because all of these guys came from different teams that have never played together. Yeah. So he said, how can we get the chemistry right? Let's go do stuff outside of basketball to where you get to know each other, and they all click. And it just – that's one of the scariest things if you have to play a basketball team that you know will always kind of be together and have each other's backs. They're not going to turn on each other. This is a team that's built to win. It's like old Pistons.
I remember after was it Kofi Cockburn from Illinois who got into the portal, and I remember asking Wade, like, when are you going to get him? And he was like, I don't want to fuck with the chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, he said, I mean, I'd take him, obviously, but I'm not.
We're good right now.
I'm not mashing the gas to get him. You know what I mean? It's the chemistry's too good on this team. It's at a point where it's driving itself. And this is when Miller was healthy. And I know that Adam Miller had a lot to do with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Adam Miller was kind of the guy on this team. And if you remember, Darius Days told us right here that Miller was the guy that Days would get to the gym and Miller had been there. Miller was there working by himself.
And Days was the early guy last year.
And Days is the senior. Days is the guy that, you know, he was kind of sold on coming back of, you're the example, you're the leader, it's your team. You know, really. I mean, we're just kind of managing the personalities. You're the one that's kind of running it within the locker room. And Adam Miller early on had Darius Days kind of like, I got to step my game up. I got to be better at this part of it because he's outperforming me. He's better at this than I am. And I think, you know, that also shows to the other guys like, hey, we got two dogs on this team.
Yeah, they're racing to get to the facility.
Yeah. Right. And that was kind of like that's as a coach, you know, it was like Ogeron in 19 when he gets the call from Tam Davison's like, Coach, your entire team is working out up here on this July Saturday morning. Like, I mean, like there's not a player missing. And it looks like an organized practice. I mean, like, you know, like when he hung up the phone, Ogeron had to play. We're fucking, we're good.
We're gonna win a national championship. We're gonna win a natty. I'm not even coaching the team.
We're gonna win
Burrow's out there.
We're gonna win this thing. You know, when Wade is in the gym because nobody's gonna beat him there, and he sees Adam Miller in there every Saturday morning going through this strategic workout that's very well planned out and everything has a purpose. Every second is accounted for of a 3-hour workout by yourself. It's hard to work out by yourself in basketball.
Hey, you just want to shoot.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you just want to shoot. But if you go in there with like a plan of first 15 minutes ball handling, next 15 minutes passing drills off the net, you know, then shooting drills out of the shot doctor that's shooting it back to you, that you got it moving. I mean, Wade said the first time he went in there and watched Adam Miller work out, didn't say a word to him, just watched his workout. It felt like he was watching a pro. Felt like he was watching an NBA guy. A lot of those NBA guys will come back in the offseason and work out at LSU, and one of the first things that those guys will tell you is that, man, it's incredible the discipline that they can instill in these cats in such a short time to come in, because when they were at LSU, they were just working on jump hooks and post moves. But then, you know, talking like specifically like kind of like Nas. Nas comes back to LSU now, and I mean, he's doing an Olympic-style individual basketball workout where he's ball handling, passing, triple threat. I mean, like just fundamental work that kids in Biddy Basketball and Central are working on Saturday mornings. But these guys are going through a process of just refining the skills. And Miller, Days, and those cats have really kind of set that model and set the tone for this team. This team it's fun. They're fun. It's fun to watch. They're undefeated. We know all the numbers and all of the interest. But they are now walking into the part of the season where it's about to get really cool. You know what I mean? Like, they're about to be in some matchups that are going to be March feeling, postseason atmospheres. That's going to be incredible.
And that's what you play for.
Yes, exactly. And that's what he said last night. I believe he said it here. Yeah, this is why you come to LSU. This is why you play in the SEC. This is why you sign that letter of intent to go play in a top 15 matchup on the road on national television where, you're a 4-point underdog, and that feels like that's way too much.
Gladiator style.
You know what I mean? Like, I do know that there is a huge LSU contingency going to Auburn. Richard Lipsey's taking his plane over. That's filled up with LSU boosters and alumni.
Balcony Bengals are on there.
Balcony Bengals are heading over
Rod
there.
with Lipsey.
Yeah, right. But it's going to be incredible, man. It is going to be incredible as the start of the season. Start of the SEC season is right here upon us. Gulf South, does Adam Miller come back next season? Yes, he does. Ask Jay, does Adam Miller change the cohesion of the team so far this year if he was in the lineup? Yes.
In a good way.
In a good way, because he's the guy that in these stagnant offensive sets where the ball looks to stick, I believe Adam Miller takes over, and he was your best offensive player. He averaged 23 a game.
Get a bucket.
Anytime you take 23 a game off of any team, you're going to have to try and overcome that. And this is almost, if there is a missing piece on this team through 12 games, and I do think that this is a complete team, and that this is a type of team that can really make a serious postseason run because of the style, the depth, the defense that they play. But if there is a missing link when you want to start talking about how can they advance from the Elite Eight on, right? Like the Elite Eight teams in this country, the top 8 basketball teams in the country, LSU might fit the bill. But if they don't, the thing that's missing is an offensive player that they can count on when time gets crunched. Where late in the shot clock, offensively you can't get anything going, or somebody that you just want to draw specific plays up for. I've thought that they've had, like Coach Brady pointed out when he was here earlier this week, that they've had really good offensive looks. Like it's the coach's job to put the players in a position to get good looks. And they've had good offensive looks. They've just got to start knocking those down. I think Miller's the type of player that if you give him those good looks that consistently, he's going to knock them down more than he misses them. So I do, to answer your question, Steve.
He was the bail you out guy.
Yeah,
not bail you out
and not for not for worse. You know what I mean? I think when you ask about the cohesion on the team, I don't think that he would have messed with it. I think that he was already baked in and built in to the mentality and the makeup of this team, that he would have found his spot. Sure, he would have taken some shots in certain possessions where you would have said, I don't know if that's the best shot, but he'd have been the best offensive player. And then it takes pressure off of Days.
Yeah.
Right? Where we've seen Days really kind of struggle with the pressure and the thought process of whether you're on the road or the offense is struggling, I need to bail them out. He goes into a lot of, first-hand point of view basketball where it's I gotta do this. I gotta shoot this. I gotta bail us out. We can't do anything offensively. I'm the top player offensively. Let me get a shot. Let me get a bucket. Let me try and find a way to make this work. And if you've got another offensive player that you can count on, it takes pressure off of Days. And now Days is a little bit more comfortable on the road. He's a little bit more comfortable if he starts 0 for 3, where he doesn't start pressing. And quickly now he's 0 for 8, and now he's in a funk, right? I mean, Miller is a guy that can take some of that off, and I think that Days has handled that well this year. I think that there has been some stretches when you say, why would you shoot that? Why? But there, that what you get with Darius. I mean, there's going to be some of that. That happens.
See, and I go the other way. I thought that Adam Miller would have made that was his role. He is the reason that the team is probably at the point it is in terms of chemistry. Like you said, he took on that leadership role. Having him on the court is probably the missing piece in my mind from Sweet 16 to maybe national championship. I think he was that important.
Yeah, no, he's important for sure. He's important. Michael Roby with the $20 super chat. Thank you, Mike. Good show. Can you drop any secret information on the Maravich Center? New arena coming. I don't know that. I do know that there are grand plans.
$20.
Yeah, I do appreciate the 20, but I don't have any inside info if they're thinking about building a new arena. I do have a lot of public info that they are talking behind closed doors on how they upgrade the basketball facilities. Wade has been steadfast on that since he's been here, on trying to upgrade the facilities and what they look like. Since Kim Mulkey has arrived, that has lit the wick on what is going to be a basketball facility upgrade explosion here pretty quick. I would expect over the next 2 to 3 years that you'll start to see a lot of ground being broken on upgrading those facilities. Right now, Mulkey's having the second floor of the athletic administration building upgraded. Those are all the women's basketball offices. She is urging and pushing for coaches' offices and weight rooms across the street at the practice facility. That's been Wade's number one goal and task really for the last couple of years, is to get a weight facility and coaches' offices where his guys don't have to walk across the street in the rain to go lift weights. When they're not doing that at Tennessee, they're not doing that at Ole Miss, they're not doing that at Kentucky, they're not doing that at Arkansas or Texas A&M.
Just Cincinnati.
So when a player comes here and asks, what's up with these facilities? You don't have a weight room in the practice? No, we don't. Damn, that's crazy. Mississippi State does. You know, I mean, they're trying to combat that. So I would expect that to happen over the next couple of years. And quick, too. Bill Free, Eason will be the difference maker. Eason is the difference maker. Really, Bill. I mean, when you watch Tari play, I mean, he is the guy that is the toughest matchup for opposing teams. And he's the guy that's doing all the dirty work for LSU. Rock Lee, Adam Miller on this team, they're a top 10 team. I don't know that about that, Rock. They still got Will Wade, which is going to turn off a lot of the voters. But if they win Wednesday night versus Auburn, the voters can't. They can't ignore it. Matt M., we need some secret updates on the Noodle, on the new DL. Electrician was over there yesterday. Things are really starting to turn the corner as far as the wiring and the sound, the lighting, the microphones, all that. I'm pretty confident to say that we will be live January 2nd. 1 week from Sunday, we will be live from the new DL. Still some little things that will be going on around the studio, but for the most part, we'll be up, live, and operating and ready to go for you on January 2nd. And come January 3rd, buckle up, people, because there will be brand new programming coming at you. We'll be here from 1 to 3 in the afternoons. We'll be talking gambling. Matuk's show will be up and at you. We'll still be going 7 to 9 a.m., but more than anything, the new studio is going to allow us to turn into a legitimate media outlet, right? Like where we can have our team there all day. We can have talent there all day. We can have programming coming out the bulk of the day. So we're fired up for it. We really are. Look at Katie in the huddle, in the chat.
Probably got an alarm alert.
Joey Vincent. I think that last night was the first night that we made it.
We did it?
Yeah, I think we made it. We're good. Joey Vincent. Me and the wife are driving from Texas to Tennessee. Looking forward to seeing y'all out there. Be careful, Joey. Merry Christmas to you and the wifey. Scott Dice. What up, Scotty boy? It's been a long time. I think Scotty is over in San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken. Scott Dice says, we played some incredible games in the dungeon of the PMAC in the offseason. So many former players came back, and it was epic. The dungeon is definitely one of the spots that, if you don't know about it, inside the Maravich Center, if those walls could talk. Where do we have that picture of Chris Jackson here, or we take it to the new DL? Of him sitting down where he's sitting down.
Oh, man.
It was right there.
I know. That was kind of one of your favorite ones.
Yeah, I think it's already at the new DL.
Moved it.
No, I think it's already there. That was the dungeon, but that was the.
Does it still exist?
Yeah, it still exists, but it's the volleyball training facility now.
Because I was gonna say they could do a little fundraiser, do one more game down there with to bring back some old LSU players, get a little money up for the PMAC. I would go watch.
It's I mean,
no video, just closed door.
It is a sweat box.
Let's do it.
You know what I mean? Like it is a cracker box of a basketball
love that.
gym. Yes, it's awesome.
NATO.
Look who it is. Hollywood's finest.
That's right.
Nathan Velasquez just walked in. Merry Christmas to you, buddy. We will have the Hollywood Minute here coming up here for you at 8:30. That's right. Remember, daily we are brought to you by Relief Med, RELEAF, med.com, Relief Med. It's Relief Med season right now. If you've got the in-laws, if you got the family coming over and you're starting to freak out that the doors are about to be locked and you're not to be allowed outside for the next 72 hours, you better go get your Relief Med recommendation from our friends over at Relief Med. This is medical marijuana, which has been legalized in the state of Louisiana, and you can find your recommendation online at RELEAFmed.com. RELEAFmed.com. Qualifying conditions there, but they are a physician-led, experienced professionals connecting Louisiana residents to physicians for the relief that they deserve over at Relief Med. Get over there, complete the confidential online registration, talk to the certified doctors via phone or video, get approved for your recommendation, and then you'll be over at the pharmacy picking up your marijuana products. They're not no flower legal yet, but one week before flower will be available to you. But right now, vapes, gummies, all types of high grade medical marijuana ready for you over at Relief Med, RELEAFmed.com. Before we bring Nathan Velasquez into the studio here, or onto the set, I want to talk a little bit about this James Cregg story that popped up overnight here. And we've been you've known about James Cregg. James Cregg was let go in the offseason by LSU. He was the former LSU offensive line coach who was suing the university after saying that he allegedly violated NCAA rules for his termination. Obviously, essentially, LSU fired Cregg for calls, right? They found something on the record that was outside of NCAA rules. LSU, it was brought to their attention. They did the due diligence, followed up on it, saw that Cregg had stepped out of line, had the proof, and fired him with calls. Now James Cregg is coming back and asking a judge to order LSU to release the records about an NCAA probe into alleged recruiting violations under head men's basketball coach Will Wade. Hey, Cregg, get the fuck out of here, buddy. I mean, I don't know what you and Ogeron are planning or what you guys got going on behind closed doors trying to do to LSU, but you and the Tristan Lee situation was obviously illegal. You handed him gear that you weren't supposed to do it. That stuff's all on the record. That stuff's all been accounted for. That was illegal. You cheated, broke the rules. Get the hell out of here.
And admitted to it.
Have Ogeron cut you the check of however much he's given you out of the $17 million for him asking you to burn the place down on the way out, allegedly. But whatever's going on, man, whatever you're trying to do, this stuff with Will Wade and the LSU basketball program ain't going to do you any favors or get you any friends down here in South Louisiana. You made enough money. You got a national championship out of it. Go get you another job and shut the hell up. For God's sake.
Go clutch your Super Bowl trophy and get on the plane.
Cregg says that these records will demonstrate that LSU treated Cregg drastically differently than they treated Wade, is what Cregg alleges. Coach Cregg says that other members of LSU's athletic department are actively being investigated for violations, yet LSU has not terminated their employment. That's because, Cregg, the NCAA is investigating for some violations. They just hadn't found them. They just don't have them. They've got nothing to report back to LSU of saying, this is what Wade did to break the law and break the rules. You've got to get rid of him for cause. By the way we understand it, Cregg's story was pretty cut and dry. It was pretty black and white. He was caught. He admitted he had violated the code. And it was pretty simple. X, Y, Z. X, did you cheat? Y, yes. Z, you're fired. Right? Coach Cregg's lawsuit will bring into public view LSU's arbitrary practice of treating employees within the athletic department differently. We will also find, this is Craig's lawyer, we will also find out who is making the decisions to hire and fire coaches. Is it the athletic directors or is it the boosters that sink money into the programs? Craig's lawsuit acknowledges that then coach Ed Orgeron provided Cregg a letter on June 2nd stating LSU's intent to fire him for cause because Cregg admitted to an NCAA enforcement official on May 2nd visiting with and providing gear to a team prospect during the COVID recruiting dead period. Cregg gave Tristan Lee gear from LSU while COVID was going on and while recruiting was supposedly dead. That's the violation. Is it a big deal? No, it's not at all. But what Cregg did was that he admitted it to the NCAA. And just like Mike Boykin from Oklahoma State, who still to this day has had the best press conference that I've ever seen sitting alongside his athletic director, pleading and begging with coaches in the public, don't ever listen to the NCAA. Don't ever work with the NCAA. Don't ever tell the NCAA what's really happening. Because while they're urging you and pleading with you to work with us from the NCAA's point of view, all they're asking for you is to cough over some information or some material that's going to damn you so they can come back behind you and try to screw you. Is exactly what happened to Oklahoma State, Mike Boykin, and that basketball pro. If you haven't seen that press conference, don't read about it. Don't read about the snippets. Go to YouTube and find it and watch the entire 30-minute sit-down. Because it is a Division I AD and a Division I basketball coach telling you how damning it can be to work with the NCAA. That it can cost you nearly your career. And it might cost Boykin and Oklahoma State that. They had the number 1 pick in the draft last year. Cade Cunningham with the Detroit Pistons was with Oklahoma State last. I mean, this guy's running a big-time program. And the NCAA circling around and cutting his legs out for something that happened while he wasn't there, before he got there, and really in the grand scheme of it, ain't shit. And they try to come in and swift and throw their steel hand of punishment at Oklahoma State for abiding, for working with them. The difference is between James Cregg and Will Wade is that James Cregg told the NCAA exactly what happened. I mean, James, I hate to tell you, bro, but I mean, that's a dumb move. That's stupid. And for you to come back and try to be arguing that you deserve to be treated differently, no, you don't. You know why? Because Will Wade hadn't told the NCAA shit. He knows how to play them. He knows how to work with them. And as soon as you told him, yeah, I gave the kid gear, you're out, you dumbass, you're done. What do you mean you told him you gave him the gear? Why? Well, they said that they knew. Well, they don't know shit. They don't know anything. It's a social club put together in Indianapolis with a bunch of paid employees making too much money with no subpoena power. They got no right to subpoena. They can't call you and say, you better give me the information. Or what? Or what? What you going to do? I can't arrest you. Okay, so what you going to do? We'll get back to you. Cool, let me know. Click. They got no power. Flash some fake badge and tell you we're here to collect all your information on how you cheated in basketball. Slam the door in your face. Keep walking. Get out of here. Go across the street and talk to the football program. They'll tell you everything you want to know. Where's James Cregg? Right here. Hey, James, you give gear to a recruit? Yep. Cool. You're done. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, it's really how simple it is. I mean, go turn on the Mike Boykin press conference. He's telling you out there, if you're a coach and the NCAA is asking you questions, tell them essentially to fuck off. Tell them to get out of here. Because if you tell them anything, it's going to cost you something. It may cost you your job. It may cost you your program going on some type of probation. There might be some type of show calls that pops up for you. I mean, there's all types of things that can happen when you simply admit to the NCAA that you stepped out of line. And the NCAA knows that out of all of their thousands of employees, that the majority of them are stepping out of line. They know that. So if they had real power to crawl up inside programs and find out who was cheating, they'd be doing it. They just don't have the manpower. They don't have the social power to make that happen. They're counting on you to fall for them bullying you into a corner and telling them what's up. That's what their plan is for LSU on Will Wade. It really is. I mean, what was it? Pat Forty wrote the story now 6 weeks ago, saying that something was coming down soon. Again, we're sitting here now in the middle of basketball season or going into conference play, and nothing's happened to Wade. You know why? Because they don't have anything on Will Wade. They are asking Pat Forty, the NCAA, and these cucks that are on the NCAA's payroll to write these stories that you give no new information on. It's just a copy and paste job from the original story that ran 3 years ago. I mean, how many times do you have to see the spell out of Dawkins' testimony? I mean, like we've seen it, we've heard it, we get it. I know it's crazy. It's 3 years ago though. It's the same story that Pat Forty's printing out today. Like, I guarantee the next Pat Forty story will have the transcript of Christian Dawkins on the witness stand. Because he doesn't have anything to put. He has no information. He's got no new information. And what the NCAA is banking on, hoping for, praying for, is that 40, Walken, the bullies of the NCAA's payroll can bully the PR system of LSU into a corner where they say, this has gotten enough, we've got to fire him. And shout out to LSU for standing their ground and not moving on Wade. Because it looks like their patience is paying off, right? Where the NCAA, I mean, we've seen some of these rulings come down at Auburn, NC State. Remember now, these programs had coaches arrested on campus. Like, handcuffed, taken to squad cars, and taken downtown. They got Will Wade on a wiretap talking about a strong-ass offer that they can't they can't confirm what he's talking about. Is the strong-ass offer talking about Javonte's uncle that he's trying to hire? Or is a strong-ass offer talking about trying to pay Javonte? We can't find the cash. We can't find the settlement. You can't find the job proposal. You can't find the cash trail.
Could have just been playing time.
So what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing, but we need to bully them into a point where they can wave the white flag and give up. When we're 3 years down the line and we've tried nearly every tactic of bullying them, and they will not fire Will Wade. In fact, they're 12-0, and they look loaded. It's the NCAA's worst nightmare.
Well, it's the NCAA go. They're the policeman at the high school party. Like, if you let me in, you know, no, this is all fine. Like, as long as you tell the truth, you'll be okay. And it's like, no. I've played this game before. You shut the door and say, we're all good here. And that's what LSU did, as opposed to James Cregg. When you talk about Oklahoma State, what happened there, they just gave, if you give any information, leave that door cracked. That's their way in. They have to, I guess, almost bully you into telling you, like, admitting fault on your own behalf. Like, they want you to confess because that's the only way they can get you. If you don't say anything, and Will Wade is probably
James
the
Cregg.
test. Yes.
James Cregg is you did
it to yourself,
he's the
brother.
test baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is the test model. Like, I mean, hey, James, can we talk to you? Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
James, did you cheat? Yes, sir.
Uh-huh.
James, hey, how did you cheat? I gave away gear when I wasn't supposed to. Thank you, James. We didn't know any of that. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, it's exactly that. You just tell us that it'll be okay because we already know. So just tell us, and you won't get in as much trouble. And Will Wade dropped his nuts on the table and said, "I don't know anything either." Like, you got a video tap of what? Like, show me, prove it, do it.
Yeah.
No.
Where'd the money go? Which strong ass offer are you talking about? Have you talked to Javonte's uncle? Have you talked to Javonte's mom? Yeah, we did. We went to their house that they still live in when Javonte was at Parkview in 8th grade. So we didn't buy him a house? Still driving the same car? Where's all that money that we paid? Where did it go to? What did they get? Where Where is it proof that they
No
have the
paper
money?
trail.
There is not one. Okay, so what are you doing here? Why are you talking to me again? Haven't I answered all of your thousands of questions that mean nothing? Or do you have any more? We'll be back next week. We'll be here. I mean, like, come on back. The NCAA has flown and swirled around Baton Rouge for the last 3 years with interviews and prospective interviews and more interviews. And can we talk to them again? Can we talk to this business owner? Can we talk to that guy? Can we talk to that woman? Yeah, sure. You can talk to all of them. You know what I mean? But like you're running up on like 4 years here. So
and the secret's out. Everybody at LSU knows not to say a word to you.
And look around the public. Nobody cares. Nobody cares of your antiquated, stupid rules that you try to govern the game by that has passed you by nearly 80 years. I mean, you still really believe that nobody's paying players in college basketball? Like you really believe that LSU was the first one to pop up and have these types of conversations? Like they're still like operating under that mindset of like LSU's the only one. Like, get the hell out of here, man. You know what? We're just going to sit over here, recruit players, coach basketball, and compete. When y'all want to make a ruling, make the ruling. But you know as well as everybody else knows now that you've got no hard information because, as we've said the entire time, as soon as they get a crack on Will Wade, as soon as they get an opening that they feel like they can run through, he is Al Capone. He is Al Capone to what Al Capone was to the federal government in the mid-1900s. Will Wade is to the NCAA over the last 5 years. He is the guy that you think you have all of this evidence on and that he's a gangster and that he's always breaking the law. They got Al Capone on tax evasion. They couldn't get him on anything. They all knew he was cheating. They all knew he was a thug. They all knew he was a bad guy. They all knew he was into bad shit. But nobody could ever come to the table and say, here's how it works. Here's what he's doing. Here's when he's doing it. This is how it's happening. He didn't pay his taxes last year, though. Get his ass. Get him. If Will Wade gives them a crack of something like that where, you know, he hands away gear to a prospect on a dead period, which in the grand scheme of it, James Cregg, ain't a big deal. It's not really a big deal. But at LSU, under the microscope you're under, and with the NCAA swirling, you can't sit down if you are thinking you're going to keep your job and admit to that. You can't do it. And since you did do it, yes, you're fired with cause. Now take your money and get the hell out of here.
That's the problem.
And if it ever comes out that Ogeron's behind this stuff, where he's urging Cregg to go after LSU, get yours. Will you ever see one man's reputation that has brought so much good to LSU crumble the way that Ogeron's has? And that's just speculation, allegedly.
But they're best
But
friends.
can't you see it? I know this on firsthand account. That letter that was just referenced in that write-up this morning, when Cregg's lawsuit acknowledged that then head coach Ed Ogeron provided Cregg with a letter on June 2nd stating that LSU's intent was to fire him with cause, that Ed Ogeron delivered that letter with tears in his eyes, with tears streaming down his face to James Cregg, crying like a baby to Cregg, telling him that he had to make this move. The same guy that hadn't recruited an offensive lineman or developed an offensive lineman since he had been here. The same guy who'd been under the microscope for not doing his job as far as recruiting went. The same guy that was about to be fired with cause. Ogeron sitting there and crying his eyes out because he's got to make a move with his friend, with his buddy, with his frat guy. With the same thing that Les Miles was doing to the program at the end when he was inviting people to coach with him that was in his wedding party. right? I mean, I think I've told the story here. I may have said it on the last place we were at. Joe Brady told Ed Orgeron in the middle of that 2019 season, if you hire me as offensive coordinator next year, my first move is going to be firing James Cregg. And O's like, you just won a Joe Moore Award. And Brady's like, no, he didn't, you fucking moron. Joe Burrow just won the Joe Moore Award.
Watch the Georgia game.
Right.
He doesn't know. He hasn't recruited anybody. He knows no scheme. You can thank Burrow for that award. And if you make me the offensive coordinator, what you're going to have to do to keep me, I'm axing James Cregg on the first day. So just know that. But Orgeron's delivering his fire and letter with cause with tears in his eyes. Come on, man. It's a frat house. You're not running a football program. These are your buddies collecting six figures and not smart enough to lie to the NCAA. What do you expect's going to happen? If you serve up information right now and you're on LSU's campus to the NCAA, they're coming at you. They're coming to get you. If you admit to anything that you've done wrong on LSU's campus over the last 4 to 5 years to the NCAA, it's over. They're coming with a swift hand. They're coming to knock you off. But just like Mike Boykin said it in the Oklahoma State press conference, if you have not seen it, go back and watch it. He's begging, pleading, coaching other teachers and coaches to say, do not work with the NCAA. Do not tell them anything. Don't tell them anything because they got no power and they don't know anything. They're counting on hearsay and gossip tables to tell them what's going on because nobody on any college campus that has any wherewithal of keeping their programs up and moving knows that the NCAA can do them any good. And the NCAA's lost so much credibility over the last 4 years, 3 years, that it's almost gotten to a point where you can laugh them out of the room.
As long as you don't go full, I mean, this strategy started from the NCAA. The strategy that the NCAA uses was started by SMU and the Pony Excess, right? That was the first time that they'd ever handed down the death penalty. And if you've watched the special, what happened was they admitted that they did something wrong. They finally admitted it, and the NCAA is sitting there. They interviewed two different people, the guy on SMU side and the guy on the NCAA side. He said, we had nothing, but we made him so nervous that he finally admitted to it, and that's all we needed because they don't have any of the information. So it goes to that goes to the bigger point. If you never tell them anything, if SMU never says anything, there is no death penalty. There is no Pony Excess. You get to keep rocking and rolling that way, and you would probably be a preeminent power in college football still. But the fact that you admitted, sat down with the NCAA, and then gave in to them just basically, interrogating you, that gives them the information you need. Like, everybody has probably learned from that moment, and when it was put on TV, like, we didn't know a thing.
Yeah.
But he told us everything because he was scared because they don't have power. But if you give them a violation, they do have power then.
Sure.
But they can't really dive into what you're doing.
They've got zero power. Zero. It's unbelievable, that process and that.
You have to rat on yourself.
You do. And that's what they're counting. They're counting on to scare. They're the principal.
Yeah.
When you were in grade school, when you're sitting out in the principal's office and they let you sit there for 20 minutes and you're thinking, I'm dead meat. Like, they're gonna cook me when I come back here.
They bring your friend in first.
Yes, right.
He's
Like,
oh.
You come in there like, what happened? You're like, I threw the ball over the street. I'm the one that hit her. I'm the one that threw the ball at him. You know, like, okay, thank you. You know what I mean? We had no idea. You're suspended.
You're spitting.
Right? I mean, it's just, oh, you didn't know that? You know, like, damn it. You know, I should have learned. Right? Like, SMU was the early kid that got to the office too early. You know,
right.
Like, they didn't have anybody before them saying, just shut up. Don't say anything.
They don't know anything.
Right? Like, Mike Boykin in Oklahoma State now is like kind of the cool kid that's come out of the office and been like, yo, don't say a word. I don't care if they tell you they've got your hand in the cookie jar with video. Tell them, no, you don't. Let me see the video.
Go there with chocolate on your face, but don't say you got it.
Absolutely. So...
But that was their strategy. Like, that since that day, that's been their move, is to be able to make you admit that you did it. It's very interrogational, very police work-esque or principal-esque. And now I feel like now that everybody's kind of figured out that's their move, they don't have another one.
Yeah.
That was the move. And now that it's gone,
it's amazing that it's lasted this long.
Well, people were terrified.
Right. But, I mean, it's amazing. Like Calipari. You know what I mean? Like some big, like a guy that had established himself. When the NCAA was messing with him in Memphis and took his national championship game away from Memphis and Calipari. I know it's crazy for everybody to remember. I mean, Pat Forty, this guy, like it never happened. You know what I mean? Like Cal is doing this. Will Wade is John Calipari. John Calipari broke on the scene when he was a young and up-and-comer. Late 20s, early 30s when he had the UMass job, and he's got Marcus Camby on UMass's campus when Duke, North Carolina, and Kansas wanted him. What do you think Bill Self, Krzyzewski, and Roy Williams' reaction was when Camby chose UMass over those three schools? They tried to cook Calipari. They tried to kick him out of the fraternity, just like Calipari, Leonard Hamilton at Florida State, Roy Williams at North Carolina, and the Blue Bloods have tried to do to Will Wade. It's the same cycle. It happened to Rick Pitino when he was coming up. Rick Pitino was fired at the University of Hawaii in 1977 as an assistant coach because he was showing up to high school games and paying players in the open, trying to get in on them. And then when they asked Pitino at a young age, when in 1977, what makes you think you can do this? He says, well, I see everybody else doing it. I see Jim Boeheim doing it at Syracuse. I see Bobby Knight doing it at Indiana. I see all these old guys that are doing it in the game right now. I'm just trying to break through. I don't know. Is this not right? I'm just trying to get mine. I'm just trying to get players. Yeah, you can't do that. You're too young, man. These old guys are the ones that are doing it now. You can't do that at a young age. You're going to piss these guys off.
Not at the table yet.
Pitino is just a young, arrogant Italian. I don't care. I want in. Hate me.
Been doing this since middle school.
I mean, I'll do this at Providence. I'll do this at Kentucky. I'll do this at Louisville. I don't care. I want players. Iona. Shit, he did it with the Knicks.
Oh, it's legal? This is so weird.
Right. But I don't have to tell you that I'm going to pay you under the table.
Why do you keep talking to my mom? Y'all need a house? Like, no, we're good. NBA.
And I wrap that up by saying, God bless Will Wade. In Will Wade, we trust.
The best in the nation.
The American gangster, LSU's head basketball coach, who has just pretty much laughed in the face of the NCAA. I mean, it's taken it and just told them, it's right here. Come get it. Come taste it. Whatever you want. You ain't getting no information from me or anybody around me. So keep swimming, keep hoping, keep shooting. But until then, LSU is a top 20 team, undefeated in the conference and non-conference, and going into SEC play as one of the hottest teams in the country. And at some point over the next 2 weeks, they're going to have to stop ignoring that. And they're going to have to start talking about that publicly. And if Wade could just get into the Final Four in New Orleans, where it is this year, with this team, and just surf through this PR at this time with a national championship type level squad, it's so sweet, man. It's so good.
Do you think that this will rear its head again if he gets into the national spotlight? They're going to
it'll rear its head if he wins next week.
Yeah.
It'll rear its head in 2 weeks if they come out of that first 3 game stretch 3-0. Expect a story to pop 2 Mondays from now. Just something, you know what I mean? No big deal, but just 40 telling you that the NCAA is galvanizing their group again with the infractions committee, and there should be some ruling coming down here in the next 2 weeks on LSU. If you didn't know, 3.5 years ago was caught on wiretap giving a strong ass. In fact, let me give you the transcript of Christian Dawkins on the trial stand that you heard in the documentary 3 years ago. Let me replay and copy and paste that for you. The same story that I wrote back in 2018 dealing with this, you can read again right here on yahoosports.com. Eat a dick, Pat. Really.
40-yard dash.
Get the hell out of here, bro. I mean, the amount of credibility that Pat Forty has lost over this is, I really and truly, I would, if I could interview Forty, and he'd never show up. I've asked him countless amounts of times to come on the show. He's not going to do. It's gotten to a point where he doesn't even answer text, tweets, DM. It ain't happening. But my first question to Pat would be, was this worth it? Like all of this, the steadfast defending of the NCAA, was this worth it? Like, you have to feel the amount of credibility that you have lost with your customer base, right? Pat Forty's a writer, so he's counting on people to click on his links and read his stories. He's had to see that fall off a cliff with his unwavering bias to supporting the blue bloods of college basketball in the NCAA. Was it worth it? Was all of this worth it? Becoming a laughingstock to the college basketball crowd, or at least the new age basketball crowd, the new money of college basketball. Was all of this worth it? There's no way that he could really lay his head down at night and think, I'm doing good work. Like, there's no way that people within the community can't be like, Pat, bro, like, this is kind of comical that you're like calling out a couple of schools, but you're not calling out the entire system and how it operates. You know, I mean, like, nobody's going to run a story on how Zion ended up in Durham. Nobody's going to talk about how he turned down $250 from Kansas, but somehow he ended up at Duke. How he was paying $850 in rent his senior year in high school in South Carolina, and his rent in the house that he was paying for at Duke was $5,000 a month. I mean, what type of upgrade in jobs did they get? Or did they just get no job in cash? Yeah? Thought so. Nathan Velasquez is here. 5-minute critic back down in Baton Rouge. Good to see our friend. We will talk about the latest on Alec Baldwin. We will talk about the latest on what's going on in Hollywood, and we'll just catch up with Nate Dogg next year. On the Jordy Culotta Show as daily, we are brought to you by Edward Jones. Edward Jones is our financial advisor. Let him be yours. You can find him at daniel.newman at edwardjones.com. Daniel.newman at edwardjones.com is where you can find him. He's out in central Louisiana. Tell him you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. If you work in the plant industry, Exxon, Dow, BASF, any of those spots, he is an expert in the financial setup over there and can help you with anything that you may be asking about. 401k, Social Security. In fact, if you work at Exxon, the first quarter they just announced they're going down on a percentage point on their 401k, and that could affect you if you're talking about retiring in the next year. Get in touch with Daniel, 225-261-8262, 225-261-8262, or email him, very easy, daniel.newman at edwardjones.com. Rob Cooksey, thank you for the $5 super chat here on this Christmas Eve morning. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Adrian Bailey says, good morning. Will LSU Athletics re-sign with Nike? I heard that the contract is up soon. Please, not Adidas. One thing that you got to look at is that Scott Woodward has done and operated other contracts at other schools. Under Armour at Washington, Adidas at Texas A&M, and now he's at LSU, which is a Nike school. LSU is a test program for Nike, which means that they are one of 5 Nike schools that is considered like premium, elite, right? I think Texas is number 1. University of Florida is up there. LSU is in that mix, obviously. Alabama is there, and then Oregon. And then Oregon, obviously. Oregon is the West Coast team, but they get the top of the line Nike products, right? Like if there is a new product that Nike is trying to show off, they consider LSU like one of their test schools. So I do know that LSU and Nike's relationship is super tight, right? Greg Stringfellow, who's the equipment manager at LSU, is routinely lobbying, entertaining, just keeping a good status with those Nike's representatives. In fact, I think that Nike has somebody that lives within the LSU facility 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So if you ever need anything, if anything breaks, if anything malfunctions, that you've got somebody on site, kind of like Pat McAfee does with YouTube.
That would be fantastic.
Right? Like you've got somebody, you're such a strong player for us that we're going to put one of our own representatives with you all day, every day, in case anything happens. You can let us know.
And I think that what Stringfellow still being on staff probably speaks volumes to the Nike relationship, right? Like
yes.
I guess he could do it again with an Adidas guy, but it feels like they want to keep that. LSU is just, like you said, it just feels like a Nike school. It'd be weird to see it transition to that. And I know Woodward probably has relationships with Adidas from his time with Texas A&M and getting that deal done and what they did there, but it would be a shot across the bow a little bit to see LSU change that drastically.
Yeah, that would be a brand overhaul. Like that would be something that you would talk about. Like that would be something that would happen with the brand of LSU. So, look, man, if I'm saying it right now, I think LSU stays as a Nike school. I think that Scott Woodward brings you some really good negotiating tactics to get maybe the best deal from Nike, because he's shown that I got good relationships with Adidas and Under Armour. So, I mean, these conversations need to be real.
Or you could just talk to LeBron and get Bronny James here. Seems like it.
Maybe so.
Sharif put a little gasoline on that fire yesterday.
Well, he just retweeted it?
He put the old eyeballs out.
Yeah. The little eyes.
All right, Nathan Velasquez next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Merry Christmas to you.
Grimace.
That was a hell of a segment. Nice job.
I'm just looking for something. Image. All right. Later.
Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Abear's Specialty Meats, home to the finest boudin in South Louisiana. 2 spots right here in Baton Rouge and out in Prairieville. Stop in and see them in the Dutchtown Shopping Center on Highway 73, or right here in Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway. Online, abearsmarkets.com, and they're all over social media. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram. Abear's combines perfect seasoning with that authentic Cajun flavor. Find out for yourself. Baton Rouge on Jefferson Highway and in Prairieville on Highway 73. abearsmarkets.com. Welcome back here to a Christmas Eve edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Coming down the stretch here at the UDL as the last couple of shows here before we bounce over to the new deal, which should be live on January 2nd. We appreciate you starting your Christmas Eve with us. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button. That helps us out tremendously here during the holiday season and every day on the Jordy Culotta Show. That is not your eyes playing tricks on you. That is Nathan Velasquez back home in South Louisiana.
Which camera is it? Are we on this one?
Were they there?
I like the crane.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, he can do anything with
But
this
the production
thing.
value in this room, Nate.
Yes. Imagine when we moved, dude.
Yes.
What could happen?
How you like the cameras pinned up on the
Yeah, what is that? What is that angle?
Well, I
look
don't even
like?
know.
We got some people that do they jerry rig a little bit.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
It works.
Oh,
it
he knows
works.
Joe Rodriguez very well.
Yeah, that's all I need to say. That's a Joe job.
That's Joe's work right there.
Yes.
Handiwork.
That's a Joe special there you see in the top right.
Do you have any 2x4s? Like, what do you?
3 in the morning. What's that noise out there with the
drills and
Exactly.
fucking, like
Joe, it's 3:30 in
generators
the morning.
starting up? Are we good? Oh yeah, we're good, buddy. We're
What time
good.
does the show start? AM or PM? Either way, we're good.
All right. Good to see you, man.
Sweating.
Good to see you
How was
guys.
home? It's hot.
Oh wait, you're here?
Yes.
Or New York? Here?
No,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
here,
it's
here.
I'm actually missing it. I'm missing the first snow of the season up in New York.
Okay.
So yeah, I got some videos of people up there. I know it's like, ha, you said you wanted to be back before it happened,
Yeah.
but you missed it. And no, yeah, here it doesn't feel like.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
it was freezing the other day, and now it's like
it's just home,
I always
man.
forgot about
It's
that.
Monday it's cold. Tuesday it's hot. Wednesday it's humid.
I forgot to pack for that. Kind of like it could be summer, it could be winter. No one has any idea.
Holiday plans? Christmas Eve? What's the big family plans?
Christmas Eve, everyone's getting together tonight. The old grandparents are like, if you're not busy, then come to our church at 5 for the Christmas service, or
I'm busy.
come, or
I'm
come
busy.
At, or
I know
come
I'm busy.
or come at 7 for dinner. And I was like, there's still meetings,
Yeah, right.
work around the
It's
clock.
great. Did you mean 5 p.m.? Today's
I'm still on New York
I'm
time.
still on Eastern time. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
Sorry. That's like the
Yeah.
wedding. Like, you're invited to the wedding, or like, you just go to the reception.
But it's a different type of thing because it's whenever we get together, it's always the Colombian side of the family, so it's a different type of church. And then afterwards, it's
midnight
like
mass,
It's
I
nothing
bet.
but drinking. Nothing but drinking. So tomorrow will be a little recovery. and
Anybody
then-
do midnight mass? How do people do midnight mass?
Leanna told me that was what they used to do when she was young, but then they just, kind of stopped altogether. That's the only instance I've heard of someone doing that, though. That's
I
intense.
can't believe people do midnight mass. I mean, I would be
But don't you have Christmas the next morning?
chainsaw snoring.
Yeah, that's what I would do. My parents, well, not my parents, my mother was real into the midnight mass. We'd go as like a family, and it was like, are y'all just boozed up
What
for
time
this
do you
thing and like
leave?
having?
What time do you nap? Like at 8?
I mean, I just fell asleep at the. I was a big, raised Catholic, big lay down in the pew kid until I was
Wow.
like, dude, until I was like 14. Like I would
Wow.
just keep doing it.
I got a smack if I
Yeah,
did that type of thing.
and I would just keep
Wow.
doing it. Then I was like, I just don't want to be here. Like, how
Yeah,
obvious
yeah,
can I
yeah.
make it that
Right.
I'm not really for the church?
Well, did y'all?
My skin is
I
crawling
was
in
always
here.
so jealous. Did you see like the kids that like they'd bring in the coloring books or like parents would give
Yes.
the kids the stuff to be kind of like just shut
Yes.
the fuck up whenever
Before
don't-
Game Boys,
don't you
before
yeah.
before the iPhone.
I was always so
Yes.
jealous of those people because I was always
Yeah.
kind of like this. You sit up straight. You're like the other.
Well,
kids
you're
that are
you're an
doing-
honest parent. Like I know my kid's a shithead,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna bring a coloring book for him and to shut them up. Like my parents were like, "Be quiet and sit still." And like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Where
why
are
did
we?
you put me here? I'm gonna raise hell for everybody in here, literally. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm bringing it back.
yeah, right.
But we would do the, like the little envelope that they give you to, like, I guess, put donations in, and you give it to the
Yeah.
coffer or
Yeah,
whaver.
yeah.
We would just take the pencil and draw on that all
Yeah.
day. And it's like, well, he's busy. And then
Right.
I would, like, thumb through the Bible for a little bit and shake it out, read some Revelation.
Is
just try
midnight?
to
Do
see
you have
what's
to get Do
interesting.
you have to get to midnight mass like at 11 to get a seat?
I don't
Like, I mean, like, do you
Yeah,
have to
that's
show
that's
up?
The thing.
I don't think so. I think it's a if you're there, you're there type
what's
deal
the-
because you're
is
trying
it-
to beat the Christmas rush.
Yeah.
You're trying to be at midnight.
The
and all that.
midnight. Well, because I think it counts because it's midnight, so it's a holy day of obligation. So if you go at midnight,
Yeah.
it counts for that
So
day.
is it,
you're
it's
you're
one of those
cleansed. You can
things
go
where
to
it's
heaven.
almost like a sacrifice. It puts
You're
you
in.
closer to the Lord or something like that.
That's
by
what the
doing
whole
that?
gambit is, I believe.
Yeah.
Anything you can do to get closer to God.
This guy in the back just.
At least the
Yeah.
Catholics give you wine. I don't ever get the ones that don't do that. They just give you like grape juice or something. At least you're going for like
you get a
drink or
reward at
something.
the end.
A
Yeah,
little
wake
bit.
up from my nap, get a little wine. This
I feel like
great.
you should get a glass of wine when you walk in for midnight mass.
Well, I think-
Welcome.
Yes.
You've almost got like a caterer like holding a.
Pre-game.
Got
Yeah,
the
you
mimosas over on the
kind
side,
of grab
some brunch.
grab one to get in. You know what I mean? Too good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One for the wifey.
We got a smoking section upstairs.
Yeah, right.
Go hit that cry room if you really want to get dirty.
Nate, you just came out of an airport, a big airport. Do they still have the smoking rooms? Did you see a smoke? We were talking about smoking earlier this week in that room that just looks like depression and cancer inside of airports where like
New Orleans doesn't have one.
No, the New Orleans airport does not have one.
I've not seen any at LaGuardia. I've seen
JFK,
JFK
for sure.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
imagine
where everyone's
JFK.
coming from.
Yeah, right.
We've got everyone going
Just
there.
a bunch of old
What
schoolers.
I always thought was weird whenever I visited France for a bit, I was surprised how many there were. But like they make them look like legit lounges. Like they look full on over there.
Right.
But also over there, they've got literal like you can go and buy cigarettes in the airport, and then like right next to it is like it's an incredibly fancy room. Like there's one with like Marlboro. They got like the camel in it, like a huge glass camel.
Some old school advertising.
No, I like went by and I was like,
cool.
oh, should I do this again? Should I pick this back up? Like,
Remember the Marlboro man?
Yes.
The cowboy?
Boy,
Well, but
yeah.
the cigarettes over there on the like the whole.
What do
thing,
they call them over there, Nate?
I'm not doing that on here. I'm not doing that. But like on the back of all of them, they got like pictures of like black lung and all this stuff. I was like, what's good? Your lounges are beautiful. But you got pictures of like dying people on the pack. It's like, I guess okay.
I'm in.
Yeah, you got the nice lounges, but you got to look at death all the time. So
A lot of
it's a
smokers
trade-off.
in New York.
I haven't seen a lot.
Because I'm telling you, they have tried to move the cigarette smokers like to the corner of the street.
It's the vape.
I don't know
like.
if I'm getting a true picture of what New York's really like because I'm like, there's maybe 20% of people that don't walk around outside with a mask on, and I don't think a lot of people are going to do the. Pull down the mask, do a little smoke.
Right.
Pull down the mask, do a little
They
smoke.
just burn a
Cut
hole
the
through
hole.
the mask.
Cut the hole.
Just
That's what I
rip
thought
it
was
a
hilarious.
heater.
I came down here in April because I know a composer and she was putting together like a whole concert, so we filmed it, like a few cameras and all that stuff, and everyone had to wear masks. But there was like it was a mask that had like a slit in the center, so everyone that was like doing like the tubas and all that, they'd like open it up. And
creative.
like, what are we doing? Can we just take them off? We can't see anything. It's a hell to sync all that up afterwards. Just
So funny.
I feel like we haven't caught. How is work? I feel like since you've switched coast, how is it? I know that
Work's
you found.
been fine. I mean,
hasn't the East Coast been the busier coast for you? You've done.
Oh, the East Coast is definitely the busier coast. As far as whenever the lockdowns and everything happened, I essentially had to just switch everything, find a way to offer video production remotely. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. And the amount of people that kind of need videos and are able to pay like you can offer a reduced rate for video production if you're using things like high quality stock footage, recording artists. I've got someone who writes scripts for clients. So
Loaded guns.
Loaded guns. What are we? What
Alec Baldwin. I'm sure
Oh
that
yeah,
was a reduced rate.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, that's a whole other side of what I'm doing right now. It's just Alec Baldwin information all the time. But yeah, so I kind of switched to that. So I was it gave a lot of freedom to go wherever, really. But then yeah, in terms of like the clients that want you there on site, New York is much more comfortable with that within California. It's like hot and cold. The temperature of what's going on in California changes all the time.
It's crazy.
It's weird.
What is the latest on Baldwin?
So I think that this story would have probably just kind of gone away forgotten every now and then someone brings it up. Yeah. That interview is absolutely killing him because essentially what he did in the interview was saying
create sound bites to live on, right?
Well, create sound bites, but also pretty much everyone's out. What's everyone thinking? What's the attitude of what everyone's going to say? Oh, you're going to have to wait for a trial, so that takes 7-8 months. So we'll wait till then. But he pretty much came out and said, no, I'm going to give you exactly what's in my mind right now about this. And what he said essentially is in his mind is I did nothing wrong at all.
Yeah.
So it's like that's his baseline now. I did nothing wrong. I have no responsibility. I have no guilt. I feel nothing over this because I'm not responsible. And every story that's come out, and there's been a lot this week, is totally contrary to him saying I've got nothing wrong to account for, which makes him look like a piece of shit.
Right.
And so that's there's kind of what's going to happen in the trial and all that stuff, and then there's what's going to happen in the court of public opinion. And he's dragging himself over the coals because of that interview. Because this week it came out. So they wanted his phone. The investigators wanted his phone, and so he could have given it to him. He said no, and it's his right to not give it to him. He said go get a warrant. But essentially, what a lot of lawyers have said is that you can do that. That's totally your right. Whenever you do that, though, you're no longer to say that you're cooperating with the investigation. So now, everything that everyone is saying is Alec Baldwin is no longer cooperating. It was like, but didn't you say 2 weeks ago that you've got nothing to hide? You're totally fine. There's nothing wrong. And so they had, and in order to get the phone, in order to get the search warrant, they had to show to a judge that they have probable cause against Alec Baldwin in order to get that. So now you couple that with what he was saying in that interview, and it's like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't trust you at all.
Yeah.
Like, we started from the point that it was like, this sucks, but I feel for the man, and now it's like, whoa, what's going on? And then just like 4 days ago, the father of the cinematographer came out and said, at first I felt for him because it seemed like this was a terrible accident, a terrible tragedy. And then he was like, then I saw that interview. Imagine, your daughter's killed. The man that did it is on national television saying, I feel no guilt for this. And he says, I don't trust him anymore. The father of the cinematographer said, I don't trust him anymore. I feel like he bears some responsibility. And that's a world of difference if you're saying, I did nothing wrong, to then going, you did a little wrong. I think you did a little bit wrong. People are really souring on him, and I think he's doing himself a huge disservice. And the amount of people that are paying attention to this is going to, I think, shift how people feel about the entertainment industry, because he's an old guard of that like elite Hollywood
he's the
feel.
face of it.
Oh yeah. And how people interact, especially with this, I think is going to change a lot. How people interact with that, like it is a weird story.
It feels like a very much a.
It's kind of like the NCAA. If you never said anything at all,
that's
you would have been
what I was
just
thinking
fine.
whenever you were talking about it. I was kind of like, dude, what? Just
shut up. Just shut up.
What are you doing?
And you got to imagine the legal representation he has on retainer has to be hundreds of thousands a month.
Oh yeah.
Like it's got to be.
He lives in New York City. He's got a penthouse like up on the Upper East Side. Like he's got the money to take care of himself. I don't know why. I think it's just hubris. It seems like someone who's crushing under their own hubris.
You're not messing with me on this.
No.
Let me get out in front of this. I'm not letting you write the story.
Yeah.
No, but it is like you do know that you are actively changing the entire story.
Right, absolutely.
Because you keep not shutting up.
Were you surprised at Spider-Man's success in the?
I was thrilled
in the big screen
about it.
Yeah,
well, first, I mean, with every time any movie comes out, it's always in relation to COVID. West Side Story comes out, no one wants to see it because of COVID. Dune comes out, people are braving the wild because of that's just
Cody
it seems
Boudreaux.
like. Okay, yeah, Cody Boudreaux, exactly. And also, Nathan Velasquez 2 on Venmo. Don't super chat this show. Send me the money to talk about it. But, so, in relation to this, we've kind of been waiting, and I was hoping Dune did it. It did well. But I've kind of been wanting a movie that kind of blows everything out of the water, that shows that people actually are excited to watch exciting storytelling. And so this one comes out. We are less than a week from it even opening. It's almost crossed the $1 billion mark.
And that's
rare.
That's incredible.
Like The Dark Knight.
Old school.
It took The Dark Knight whenever it came out, and that was one of those movies where like you go a month after it's come out, the theaters are still packed. It took like about a month for that to reach the $1 billion mark. And yeah, this one, after doing it in a week, I think it shows that people, and also in context, that's it's the largest opening in December of all time. It's the second largest opening for a movie ever, which again, Endgame, the Avengers Endgame.
Wow.
Yeah,
People were like cheering in the theater for that movie.
Exactly. Well, and people are doing the same for this, and that's the thing. There's a lot of.
Wait, did people clap when you went?
Yeah.
Have y'all seen it?
Yeah, I went.
Just him.
I
him.
went.
I
Oh, you were
haven't
the
seen
only
it.
one. What'd you think?
It was amazing.
I loved it. I
it was
really,
great.
really loved it. And there's so many critics online, the Rotten Tomatoes, regular Rotten Tomatoes, all like the very elite publications, they're very sour on the Spider-Man movie because they're saying essentially all these smaller movies, Nightmare Alley or West Side Story, they're not doing so well, and it's the big superhero movies that are kind of killing everything. And I just feel like the right response to this is it's incredible that the audience is back. It's been so long since you can go to a theater and you feel this energy. It was probably something like Endgame. And yeah, not a lot of other movies are doing it. I wish more studios were doing it. But this feeling of going and you feel that everyone wants to be there. They're excited to be there. I think that's the most exciting thing about this. And China hasn't even gotten a hold of this thing yet.
Wow.
So they haven't even gotten that money.
And that's the number on this thing?
No, this isn't even China. They don't even have a release date yet for China. So
Holy
that's how popular this
cow.
thing is. Yeah, no,
That's incredible.
The screenings, you go to a screening today, it's probably tough to get tickets. It's going to be sold out. But on the other side of it, of the audience finally being back, showing that people really want to see exciting, good storytelling. I think the other side is whenever something does poorly, like West Side Story, I don't think we can say COVID anymore. I'm not trying to say anything about that. I don't think that's really a reason that can be. I would say don't trust that if you see people talking about
people
that.
are going to the theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bro, my favorite Batman growing up was Michael Keaton.
And he's coming back.
He's coming back to play Batman and Batgirl.
Yeah,
I saw.
I've not watched any of that show. I don't know if y'all have seen any of isn't it? I think that's CW. I'm not 100% sure.
HBO Max.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's no way
cool.
Michael Keaton's going to CW.
Yes.
I don't know. Everything's weird with CW, Warner Brothers, HBO Max. What's what? Where does it live? Where do I stream?
Exactly.
But that's really exciting. I love Michael Keaton.
I love Michael Keaton. So I wanted your thoughts on
Well,
him.
I grew up with Christian Bale. So Christian Bale was kind of... going to see Dark Knight at the age of 11 kind of solidified it that he's like the one
Where's
that I
Val
follow.
Kilmer rank?
The thing with Val Kilmer, I'm not
The
a
voice,
fan of the
the
performance.
voice.
I'm a fan of the chin. I think he's got like the comic book pointy chin. I think that really works. Although worst, I'd have to go George Clooney
For sure.
I don't know what.
Did he have the nipples?
I think
Yes, he did
yeah,
have the
he did.
nipples.
Was it just because he was Clooney, right? I mean, he could draw you to the theater at the time. He was the most famous actor
I guess
on the
so.
planet.
I guess
when
so.
he got that role.
The movies themselves were just weird, but also I feel like Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, they kind of disappear whenever they have the suit on. With George Clooney, it's still just like
That's Clooney.
You're about to team up with Brad Pitt and go to like the
Right.
Bellagio. or
Where's
something
Julia
like
at,
that.
bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Catwoman has no chance tonight.
Exactly. It's kind of it's just George Clooney in leather and then nipples. So it's like what's going
and they
on?
zoomed in on the nipples, the crotch. Like that's the first one I saw as a kid. I was like, even now, I was like probably 7 or 8. I was
Are
like,
those sweating?
this
How is it sweating? How are the
this is a
nipples
lot
sweating?
of crotch.
What
the
movies
nipple.
are we breaking down here? It's Christmas Eve. I'd imagine. Are we still in the Christmas theme?
So earlier in the week, there's a review out for Licorice Pizza. I think that comes out tomorrow in this area. Great Christmas movie. Lots of great movies coming out to watch for Christmas. But yeah, later today, I'm gonna do kind of like a live review on the channel for It's a Wonderful Life. Figure tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love
Okay.
that movie.
Yes.
Absolutely love that movie. One of the few movies that it is sentimental near the end. But the entire movie it's very dark. It's depressing.
It is.
And it swings into that in a way, and then it goes right to the other side, and I think it makes it all the more cheery because, yeah, it shows you, it doesn't just show you, oh, life is great, life is incredible. It's like, you can really ruin your life.
Is that Jimmy Stewart's most famous role? I mean, because he's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very well.
I think-
he's a well-known actor for his time.
After that, it
but I
would
think
probably be Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. But I mean, there's a gulf in terms of popularity between that movie and It's a Wonderful Life. Like, It's a Wonderful,
Wow.
everyone.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel
sure.
like everyone has either
almost like a rite
watched
of
that
passage.
movie or they are kind of hiding the fact. Everyone's got those movies you kind of like say, oh yeah, great movie, love
Right.
that movie.
I'm in
but you
that
never-
camp.
Yeah, and that's fine. But like, whenever you get a chance, if you ever get a chance, I think it's very worth
That's
it.
what Scrooge taking him around town, right? Or whoever, the Ghost of Christmas Past.
So he's essentially about to kill himself. That's how the movie starts. That's how it opens. And so
What is he gonna do?
he's gonna kill himself.
I know how.
He's gonna jump off of a bridge.
Good. That's a good.
So you open with
always works.
God is essentially giving an angel a task to say, go and he's like saying he's about to throw away the greatest gift of all time, his life. And so he says, okay, well, before I go and save him, I got to know, like, tell me a bit about the man. So the movie is essentially watching him grow up and all the sacrifices that he makes to essentially make himself miserable. And then, like, the climax of the movie is the angel and him, and he, the part everyone knows, he grants him the wish of, just make it so that I've never been born. And so he takes him through, showing him this is what life would look
Spoiler.
like if you had never. That's kind of the crux of the movie. That's not a spoiler. There's other stuff that happens. It's the real epitome of the movie.
He jumps.
But yeah, that's essentially it. It's good. It's really good. Well, wait, I'm not gonna say what you want me to actually tell you what he decides to do in the end.
I would hope he jumps. Just you got to live your life
Well,
again. You got to
at that point, you're actually getting to the crux of the movie. So I'm not gonna.
Okay, yeah. Now I'm gonna watch it.
Movie night for the Velasquezes? Do you huddle up and watch movies
we
around
all
the
went
holidays?
out yesterday and saw Kingsman, which I thought was a ton of fun. If anyone out there likes history, it's fun for that. But really, it's having a lot of fun with history. It's silly, but that's a pretty silly series. And then tomorrow, I think we're all gonna go out again tomorrow and either watch The Matrix,
Okay.
or what was the other one? The Tragedy of Macbeth, which Denzel Washington is even saying, he's like, look, he's like, I've done. It's pretty funny the interviews he's doing. He's like, I've done some good stuff. I'll say I've done some good stuff. But he's like, this.
I'm a
is the
damn good
thing.
actor.
Yeah. Hey, he's got the
And
gold
he
to
can.
show it.
He can.
Yeah. But he's saying essentially this movie, like for me,
Yeah.
he considers this his performance, like the best he's given.
I believe over the last, it was 2 years ago that he spent about 8 months in Baton Rouge. He was living in Baton Rouge
Really?
shooting a movie where people were seeing him around.
Wow.
Yes, because I had a client who was advertising with us who lives in the country club of Louisiana. The
Okay.
next door, the house next door to them was vacant, and turned out Denzel was renting it. And
That
like,
must not have come out yet. I'm
I know
trying
you
to
like to get wet.
I guess not. It's like, you think you can get him on the, think you can get him on the show?
Ooh, yeah.
Um,
Wow. That's wild.
Dude, what would you ask Denzel? First question. I'd like to get wet, Jake.
I think it would probably be away from the movies. I would probably kind of like hit him
I
with
feel
a
like he's got a
curve,
whole
kind
other
of like
side of
try to
life,
like.
yeah.
I would try to find something that personally meant something to him,
T.C. Williams.
or like some type of sport. Like, I know he's a huge Lakers fan. You know what I mean? So maybe something about Shaq. Maybe something about Lakers or sports to kind of break him down. You just kind of
he's
like
he's
a
a
huge
writer,
sports
he's
fan.
a writer
Guard
director.
down.
So like those type of people, they got a whole other life that
Yeah.
they don't put in.
Right.
It's not just one of those actor things where it's like, well, this is what I do, and I'm not really a person.
He's aged very well.
Sure.
Like, he
Oh,
still
yeah.
looks like Denzel. He
He
didn't
does.
get, he had a little stint there where he was kind of dressing down, but he's back.
Well, that's the difference between the uber elite and Hollywood, right? Like they never like Tom Cruise looks like he's on Top Gun.
Well, I don't
I
know.
feel like
If you
there's-
saw him at the Yankees game.
He has over the last year he's
Something
aged
happened.
30 years.
Well, but then
up
he put
until
that
point,
picture of him like on top of what's that tallest building in the world in Abu Dhabi, and he's kind of like just sitting on top of it, just kind of like what the hell? Who the hell are you? What are you? What type of person are you? But yeah,
Scaled it.
Yeah, I feel like there are people. There was an interview with the Jamie. I forget his exact name. The guy that's in that Belfast movie that's coming out, the black and white movie that's gaining some steam right now. And he said essentially, if you want to make it in this business, it's easy to kind of rest on your laurels, just kind of coast once you make it near the top. But he's like, you've got to stay with it. You got to know what you're about, because if not, you're going to become a total joke. Honestly, I feel like what we're seeing with Alec Baldwin seems like someone who's coasting a bit, doesn't really have a ton of integrity whenever he's coming up to the bat at the plate. People like Denzel, though, I feel like he's someone who seems to know what he's about, treats it as a
Jamie
business.
Dornan.
Jamie Dornan. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, really, yeah, good stuff. He seems like a really, he seems like he's on top of it.
Yeah.
He's a rising star. But yeah, Denzel Washington's incredible. But he seems like an honest guy, and I feel like you can tell the difference every now and then.
Home till Monday, huh?
Yes.
Okay. We got to get you by the new studio at some point just to check it out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know-
What is this? Is it like able to go? You're able to go and see it, or
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Maybe sometime
So
this
just let
weekend.
me know. Good to see you. Merry
to
Christmas.
see you guys.
Tell the family hello. Happy
Absolutely.
holidays, and we will see you soon. Nathan Velasquez, 5-minute critic. What you
One
got?
quick one. Expectations for The Matrix? Is it PG-13? R?
it's R?
Okay.
I feel like going in cold, because I feel like this is the type of thing where you can either get burned. It's not going to be good, or it's going to be awesome. I don't think this is going to be a movie that people are going to come out of that are going, meh, it was all right. I think because it's also got, I think it's like 2 hours 40 minutes, so it's asking a lot of people. It's been a long time since The Matrix, so I think it's either going to soar or it's going to sink. I don't think it's going to be a middle of the road response.
Prologue? Does it have any ties to the other three?
That's the thing that's why I think it's going to be a big gamble. It sounds like the little bits that they're saying about it, it's either going to be just a continuation of the first movie, or they're just going to totally rewrite the script on this one. I really don't know. They're keeping it very close to the chest. We'll see how it goes. I hope it's awesome.
More excited of a gift you may receive, or are you excited about something that you are giving this Christmas?
That's honestly, it's been about like 7 years. I don't really care that much about getting gifts.
There we go. There you go.
I don't think that, but I mean, I feel like it's gotten to the point where it's like, there are those people in your life that if you give them something and you feel like you really hit a chord with them, then like I feel like that feels a little better.
It goes longer. It goes
Yeah.
a long way.
Yeah.
Expecting anything?
I just tell people, get me cash. That's
Gift
just
cards
good.
and
Yeah,
cash.
if you
Gift cards and
stuff
cash.
to Amazon like that goes a long way if you're
does.
looking to
You're
get
right.
somewhere with me.
SC says, just watched the latest Gold Standard post. You were absolutely right, Jordy. General Wade is a beast. He keeps those young men focused and motivated and ready to run through anyone who steps on the court with them. The latest Gold Standard is must-watch television from LSU basketball. The opening 15 seconds. I believe I had it on repeat last night in bed. Kelly finally rolled over and was like, can you turn that fucking down?
What's poking me in the back?
To sleep here. I'm like, go grab the lotion if you don't mind.
Take care of this yourself.
I can't get up. It is incredible. It is
Where's Copper?
it is amazing. It is amazing to see the opening part of the latest Gold Standard. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Have a good, safe Christmas Eve. I know the roads are heavily populated today, so whether you're traveling in and around the area or you're traveling out of state, please buckle up and stay safe out there. As we will be back with you on Sunday night. We'll be back with you at 7 o'clock.
I'm not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Maybe here tomorrow. buddy.
Christmas Day show.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Little bowl game.
Maybe so.
There's some bowl. Oh, bet of the week.
What's the bet?
I think I'm going Cincy. Cincy Ravens. Joe Burrow.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Bearcats.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was like, chill
that
out.
would be, that'd be, I'm
Give
not
me some of
much
that
a
relief,
pal.
man. Why don't you?
What did you see? No, but Bengals Ravens. Joe Burrow. Division on the line. This is a Joe Burrow win game. When you talk about times when he has to put his kind of name on the
Burrow,
line.
after being snubbed from the
Snubbed
Pro
for the
Bowl.
Lamar?
Snubbed from the Pro Bowl. Maybe no Lamar. They're so COVIDed out at the Ravens. Like, they have no chance with they've been puffing the cron. So they got like 19 people out.
Cincinnati's too boring to
Exactly.
Get
I think Cincy's like safe. And when you talk about
that's what Burrow said.
He
He said the lack of nightlife has helped him stay healthy.
little Skyline late night, that's about it.
Right.
But when you talk about Burrow, like the loss in the state's championship still bothers him. So a game for all the marbles to win the division and get into essentially the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would imagine got his
You got a spread?
nuts hot. 2.5.
2.5 favorite?
No, giving up 2.5. But no.
Without Lamar, that feels like it's stealing.
I know. I don't know.
I love Hundley though.
It's good.
I think
It's
Hundley
good.
made himself a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's better than how many starting quarterbacks in the league. I mean, like if you looked around franchise to franchise and somebody had the option of their starter or Hundley, I wonder how many people would say, "Fuck our guy, give me Hundley." You know what I mean?
I mean, Jordan Love or Hundley.
You could almost. Is he a better passer than Lamar?
He's more comfortable. He's more of a pocket style, but he still wants to get out there and run like Lamar.
He does.
Which is a great
does.
franchise move to be like, all right, we don't have to change our offense altogether.
It is. Baltimore's probably the smartest team building squad in the league. If they're not they're a part of the group that is. Saints are probably up there.
Yes.
But I would imagine like Baltimore was one of the models that people look at as far as staying consistent.
They did it quick, because then they go from Flacco to Lamar in that season.
What are you talking about? They're the same quarterback, dude.
And then,
Played the same way.
And then the next year, they have the whole offense
Changed.
around Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. That's foresight. You know, what I mean, that's not accidental.
No, if we're drafting, we're changing everything.
Right, absolutely. All right, everybody, have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas. Good to see Nathan Velasquez back in the South. We will talk to you soon. We may be here tomorrow. Keep up with us on social media. Alert for it. Set the alerts. YouTube, if you're not subscribed, subscribe there. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Make sure you're following us there to keep up with all the latest and announcements. Have a great Christmas Eve. Have a safe Christmas Eve. Enjoy the family. Enjoy the loved ones. Have a great Christmas tomorrow, and we'll be back with you soon.
Happy birthday, Dad. 24 hours away from being Jesus. Okay. That's what he always says.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, the world really missed out on that one. Yeah. Happy birthday, Pops.